To save my fiancé, I ruined my dance career and limped for 5 years, waiting only for a grand wedding, but his phone screensaver is still his ex, and his group of friends mock me as a lame substitute. He never loved me, he just enjoyed playing the role of a deeply affectionate savior. On the eve of the wedding, I threw his disgusting chat history in his face, and watching his panic, I felt incredibly happy. Turning away, he thought I couldn't live without him? Ha! My life has just begun. The summer night in New York was as sultry as a damp wad of cotton, sticking to my skin. I sat on the terrace of a luxurious villa, looking at the bright lights of Manhattan in the distance, but my heart was ice cold. Ava, still looking at those design drafts? Ethan's mother, Mrs. Collins, walked over with a glass of lemonade, with a hint of barely perceptible heartache in her tone. Where's Ethan? Gone to work on his Global Tech Corp again? I tugged at the corners of my mouth, trying to force a relaxed smile. Yeah, he said there's an urgent meeting. How many times has this happened this month? Ethan always misses meetings about the wedding venue arrangements, confirmation of the guest list, and even finalizing the wedding dress style. Using various excuses, he acts like a programmer about to complete a task, and his anticipation for this wedding seems to be less than a successful commit in his codebase. Emergency meeting? I think he's becoming more and more outrageous. Mrs. Collins frowned, her delicate makeup unable to hide her anger. Ava, don't speak up for him. This wedding is for both of you. Why should he leave everything to you? If it weren't for that car accident 5 years ago, you should be standing on a world-class stage right now. Instead of, she paused, her gaze falling on my slightly curled left leg, and her tone softened. Child, I know you've been wronged. I've seen how much you've sacrificed to save him. 5 years ago, in a sudden car accident, I pushed Ethan, who was a friend at the time, away, but I was hit by the out-of-control truck. The cost was a comminuted fracture of my left leg, severe nerve damage, and the complete end of my ballet dream, which I had been working towards since I was 4 years old. After that, Ethan, who had been keeping his distance from me and frankly admitted he had someone else in his heart, suddenly began to pursue me with a sense of responsibility. He said he would take care of me for the rest of my life. At that time, I had just experienced a major blow in my life, like a drowning person grabbing a piece of driftwood. His tenderness, care, and attentiveness made me believe, for a time, that this was love. But now, with the wedding approaching, the warmth in his eyes is getting lower and lower. Mom, it's okay. Ethan is just really busy with work. I comforted Mrs. Collins, as if I was also numbing myself. The sound of an engine came from the porch. Ethan was back. He took off his suit jacket and casually tossed it on the sofa. His tie askew, a hint of impatience on his handsome face. Still busy with wedding stuff? He glanced at the tablet I had open on the table, which displayed several alternative wedding cake designs. Yeah, take a look and see which one you like. I pointed to one of the simple and elegant designs. He glanced at it, not even raising an eyebrow. Whatever you decide. It's like this again. Always whatever you decide. Anything is fine. It's as if this wedding has nothing to do with him, and he's just a prop cooperating in the performance. Ethan, Mrs. Collins couldn't help but say, this is your and Ava's wedding. Can't you put your heart into it? Ava has sacrificed so much for you. Mom, Ethan interrupted her, his tone suddenly turning cold, a coldness I had never seen before. I know she has sacrificed a lot for me, so isn't that why I'm marrying her? I'll give her whatever she wants, but can you please not bother me with these trivial matters? The air froze instantly. I stared blankly at him, my heart feeling like it was being clenched tightly by an invisible hand, hurting so much that I could hardly breathe. For the first time, he so blatantly tore through that layer of gentle pretense. The sentence, so isn't that why I'm marrying her, was like a poisoned dagger, accurately piercing through all my fantasies and self-deception. So, in his eyes, this marriage was nothing more than a compensation for my sacrifice, and I, like a fool, a clown in a pretty dress, tiptoeing on injured toes, trying hard to please the audience. He didn't even bother to look at me again, went straight upstairs, leaving me and Mrs. Collins in place, the air filled with awkwardness and embarrassment. Ava, don't take it to heart. Ethan, Mrs. Collins tried to explain. I shook my head, my voice dry. Mom, I'm a little tired. I'll go back to my room to rest. I almost fled back to my room, closed the door, and slid down silently. leaning against the cold door panel. Tears finally burst out, not because of grievance, but because of humiliation and despair. After that night, Ethan and I's relationship seemed to enter an ice age. He no longer pretended to be gentle, and I was too lazy to force a smile. We were like strangers living under the same roof, with very little communication, and the few conversations we had were full of perfunctory politeness. On Thanksgiving, he excused himself from the family dinner, claiming he had company matters to attend to. On Christmas, he flew to Europe, saying he was expanding business, without even sending a simple Merry Christmas text. My heart sank little by little, and unease grew wildly like vines. Demi almost suffocated, but I still forced myself to maintain a facade of calmness. I told myself, maybe he's just experiencing pre-wedding anxiety, maybe everything will be alright after the wedding. Until that late night, I went downstairs for a drink of water because I was thirsty. As I passed the study, I noticed the door was ajar, and a faint blue light from a phone screen shone from inside. Ethan was sitting at the desk with his back to the door, staring blankly at his phone. I originally wanted to leave silently, but I stopped, as if by some strange compulsion. In the dim light, I saw his phone screen was on a WhatsApp chat window. The contact's name was Noah, Ethan's childhood friend, and also the one who, 5 years ago at a party, mocked me in front of everyone, saying I wasn't even worth a strand of Olivia's hair. My heart rate suddenly accelerated, and a sense of foreboding gripped me. Just then, Ethan's finger moved, and the screen slid upward, revealing several lines of text. Noah, it seems like Olivia is regretting it. She contacted me yesterday, subtly asking about you, saying she wants to get back together with you. Ethan, Noah, what do you say? She dumped you so decisively back then, and now she sees that you're successful and about to get married, so she wants to try and get back together? Ethan's reply was just a line of ellipses, but the focused expression on his face as he stared at the screen, and the long silence without any further action, was like a heavy hammer, hitting my heart hard. Olivia, lynching ya, the ex-girlfriend he once held dear, but who turned and embraced a wealthy man when he was at his most difficult time in starting his business. That name that had haunted my life like a curse for 5 years. 5 years ago, Noah's mockery at the party, like a sharp thorn, pierced deeply into my heart. Although Ethan defended me at that time, I saw the complexity and dodging in his eyes clearly. Ava, you are good, but you are not her. Ethan, don't be silly. Olivia is doing very well now and has long forgotten you. Look at Ava. Although she is crippled, she is devoted to you, and her family background is clean. Marrying her will only benefit you. Noah's half-joking, half-serious words at the time now overlapped with the chat history in WhatsApp, forming a cruel and ironic contrast. So, he had never forgotten Olivia. So, my 5 years of companionship and waiting were, in his eyes, perhaps just a lame substitute. I staggered back a step, bumping into the door frame, making a soft sound. Ethan turned his head sharply, saw my pale face, a flash of panic flashed in his eyes, and quickly locked the phone screen. Ava, why aren't you asleep yet? He stood up and tried to approach me. I looked at him, the man I had loved for 5 years and was about to become my husband, and for the first time felt so strange, so disgusting. My stomach churned. I resisted the nausea, turned around, and almost ran back to the bedroom. That night, I kept my eyes open until dawn. The chat records and Ethan's flustered look replayed in my mind over and over again. All the unease, doubt, and grievance found their answer at this moment. Wedding? To hell with the wedding. Why should I marry a man who has someone else in his heart, and who might even abandon me for his ex at any time? Why should I use the happiness of the second half of my life to fulfill his sense of responsibility and compensation? Once the idea of breaking up arises, it is like a prairie fire that can no longer be extinguished. I've decided, I'm going to cancel the wedding. I'm going to break up with Ethan. But looking at the photo of Mrs. Collins and me on the bedside table, her kind smile made me hesitate. She genuinely loves me and treats me like her own daughter. If I directly propose a breakup, she will definitely be very sad and will also blame Ethan. I need an opportunity, one that he can't refute, an opportunity for everyone to see his true colors. The next day, according to the original plan, was the day to choose wedding rings. I sent Ethan a message. Sorry, Chloe has a bit of an emergency. I need to go to Los Angeles to see her. Can we postpone the ring selection for a few days? Chloe is my best friend and an excellent dancer. She is currently preparing her dance studio in Los Angeles. This excuse is reasonable. Ethan replied almost instantly. Okay, then be careful. The ring isn't urgent. His reaction was so relaxed, like he had unloaded a burden. There was not the slightest bit of reluctance, not even a word of concern about what urgent matter Chloe had encountered. My heart turned completely cold. I told Mrs. Collins about my decision. Although she was a little surprised, she still expressed understanding, but there was a little more worry in her eyes. Ava, is there something wrong between you and Ethan? She asked tentatively. I shook my head. No, Mom, don't worry, but my abnormality obviously didn't escape her eyes. Ava, tell me the truth. Do you know something? That scoundrel Ethan, he actually put off accompanying you to choose a wedding ring to see that woman Olivia. He even lied to me, saying you went to see Chloe, that ungrateful thing. Mrs. Collins' voice was filled with suppressed anger. I held the phone, my fingertips ice cold. It turned out that even his excuse for postponing the engagement ring selection was a lie. He wasn't just not in a hurry, he never intended to go at all. The person he was going to meet was his ex-girlfriend, who might have regretted their breakup. Mom, don't be angry, he's not worth it. My voice was unusually calm. How can I not be angry? I'm taking you to confront him right now. I want to see what he has to say for himself. No need, Mom, I interrupted her. I can handle it myself. After hanging up the phone, I sat in the darkness, unmoving for a long time. All hesitation and concern vanished at that moment. I don't need to consider anyone's feelings anymore. The next day, I was about to go out to deal with some personal belongings when I received a call from Ethan's assistant, saying that Ethan needed an urgent document, located on the computer in the study, and asked me to help send it to him. I walked into that familiar study. The air still held the cedar fragrance of his cologne, yet it made me feel physically uncomfortable. I opened his laptop, ready to find the files. The screen lit up, staying on the WhatsApp login interface. He hadn't logged out. A crazy idea seized me instantly. Reason told me I should immediately turn it off, find the files, and leave. But a strong sense of curiosity and unwillingness drove my fingers to click on that familiar avatar, Noah. My heart was pounding, and it felt like all the blood had rushed to the top of my head. I took a deep breath and opened his chat history with Noah. The timeline stretched far back, and I scrolled up quickly. Those appalling words were like red-hot branding irons, searing my eyes and heart. That cripple has been getting more and more clingy lately. So annoying. 3 days ago. The wedding is coming up soon. I feel like I'm on the execution ground. A week ago. My mom watches me every day. It's so annoying. If it weren't for her sake, I would have quit acting long ago. 2 weeks ago. Noah. To be honest, I've never loved her. Back then, I just felt indebted to her. And my mom liked her. So I got engaged in a daze. 1 month ago. If she makes a fuss with me over Olivia and initiates a breakup, that would be perfect. Last night, right after I saw their chat history. Don't worry, she can't live without me supporting her. She wouldn't dare to make too much trouble. What else does she have besides that face and her past dancing talent? Now she's just a cripple who can't live without me. Each word, like the most vicious curse, completely shattered the last shred of fantasy I had left. Oh? Responsibility? Compensation? That's all bullshit. He's just exploiting my guilt and dependence, reveling in the moral superiority of playing the deeply devoted savior. He even hopes that I'll take the initiative to back out, so he can return to his beloved white moonlight without any burden. And I, the cripple, the disabled person he despises, was actually foolishly looking forward to the wedding, hoping that he would change his mind. The nauseating feeling churning in my stomach could no longer be suppressed. I rushed into the bathroom and vomited violently, as if I wanted to throw up all the grievances and humiliation of the past 5 years. In the mirror, my face was as pale as paper, but my eyes were unusually cold and firm. Fragments flashed back in my mind involuntarily. The first time I came to the Collins house, it was a sunny afternoon. Young Ethan leaned against the French window, watching me practice spinning in the garden, his eyes filled with amazement and admiration. He once said to me, Ava, when you dance, you're like a shining angel. Later, I plucked up the courage to confess my feelings to him, but he apologetically refused. I'm sorry, Ava, I already have someone else in my heart. That person was Olivia. After the car accident, he stayed by my bedside, day and night. In my most desperate moment, he held my hand and said, Ava, don't be afraid, I'll take care of you from now on. At that time, I thought it was the luck of surviving a disaster, a regained love. Looking back now, how precise and ironic that word take care is. From beginning to end, what he gave me was never love, but a condescending pity and charity. Comparing the vicious words on the phone screen, the sweet memories of the past have now become a huge irony, like countless needles, pricking me all over. I returned to the study without the slightest hesitation, screenshotting, saving, and then printing out those chat records, page by page. Holding that thick stack of paper stained with shame and betrayal, I dialed Ethan's phone. Where are you? My voice was as cold as ice. He seemed a little surprised by my tone, paused for a moment, and then said, "At the Azure restaurant in the city center, talking to Noah about something." "Very good, you wait." I hung up the phone, grabbed the printed documents and my phone, and rushed out of the villa. Azure Restaurant, a famous high-end restaurant in New York, filled with elegant attire and clinking glasses. I spotted Ethan and Noah by the window at a glance. Ethan was wearing a well-tailored suit, elegantly cutting his steak, while Noah was holding a wine glass, a teasing smile on his face. They seemed to be in good spirits, perhaps discussing Olivia's change of heart, or perhaps mocking me, the cripple about to be abandoned. Anger blazed in my chest. I walked straight over and, amidst the surprised gazes of those around me, slammed the stack of printed chat logs onto Ethan's plate. With a bang, steak sauce splattered, staining his expensive suit. Ethan and Noah were both stunned, looking at me in astonishment. "Ethan Collins." I pointed at the stack of papers, my voice trembling slightly with anger. "You fucking explain to me, what is this?" Ethan's face turned pale instantly. "And those papers," but I pressed down on him. "What? Don't dare to look? Don't dare to let others see?" I sneered, picked up my phone, and brought up the screenshot. "It doesn't matter. I have a digital version here. Do you want me to read it aloud for you? How you and your good brother disgust me. This crippled substitute. Behind my back. How you complained about being forced to marry by me. How you frankly admitted you never loved me. And how you hoped I would initiate a breakup My voice was loud enough for the customers at the surrounding tables to hear clearly. They all cast curious, shocked, and disdainful glances. Ethan's face turned red and white, his lips trembled, but he couldn't say a word. Noah's face was also extremely ugly. He tried to stand up and smooth things over. "Ava, calm down. There must be some misunderstanding here." "Misunderstanding?" I turned to him abruptly, my sharp gaze scraping across his face like a knife. "Noah Miller, you shut up. In these 5 years, you have openly and secretly sneered at me, instigated discord. Do you think I don't know? You and Ethan are birds of a feather, a pack of snakes and rats." Noah was speechless after my rebuff, his face alternating between green and purple. I stopped looking at them, took a deep breath, and refocused my gaze on Ethan's pale face, saying each word clearly and distinctly. "Ethan Collins, we're over. The wedding is cancelled, and the engagement is dissolved. From now on, you and I are completely cut off. I feel disgusted just being around someone like you for even a second." After speaking, I ignored Ethan's suddenly widened eyes and subconsciously outstretched hand, as well as Noah's ugly expression and the surrounding people's whispers. I straightened my back, turned around, and resolutely left this disgusting restaurant. The moment I walked out of the restaurant, the cool night breeze of New York blew on my face, but I felt an unprecedented sense of ease and relief. Tears slid down again, but this time, not for that unworthy man, but for myself, for that foolish Ava who once devoted herself to love, but was hurt all over, and also for the newborn Ava who finally made up her mind, cut off the past, and started over. Returning to the villa, I didn't linger at all and went straight upstairs to pack my luggage. I didn't have many personal belongings, some clothes, a few books, and some small objects that carried past memories, which now seemed full of irony. I packed all the expensive gifts Ethan had given me, jewelry, bags, clothes, and placed them in the most conspicuous place in the living room. I wouldn't take any of these things tainted with hypocrisy and pity. I called my parents, who were far away in my hometown, and briefly told them about the situation. They were shocked and heartbroken, but more than anything, they supported my decision. "Ava, it's good to be back. Home will always be your harbor." My father's steady voice came through the phone, giving me great comfort. Mrs. Collins also rushed back quickly. When she saw the packed luggage in the living room, her eyes instantly turned red. Ava, child. She held my hand, choking up and unable to speak. Mom. I held her hand back, my tone calm but firm. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have to leave. This is not your fault. You have always been good to me, and I am very grateful to you. It's just that Ethan and I are really not suitable. Mrs. Collins looked at my resolute eyes and finally sighed, wiping away her tears. Mom doesn't blame you. It's that bastard Ethan who let you down. Go in peace, and come back to see Mom often in the future. I nodded and gave her a hug. The next morning, my parents drove to pick me up. Ethan also appeared at the door. He looked much more haggard, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, and tried to come forward to talk to me. Ava, can we? No. I interrupted him coldly, without even looking at him, and walked straight to my parents' car. He wanted to help me with my luggage, but my father stopped him. Mr. Collins, there's no need, my father said with an unquestionable authority. We'll take care of my daughter's things ourselves. Ethan's hand froze in midair, the color draining from his face. The car slowly drove away from the villa where I had lived for 5 years. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Ethan still standing there, his figure getting smaller and smaller, eventually disappearing from sight. There was no lingering attachment, no reluctance, only a sense of complete relief. Ethan Collins and I, from now on, have nothing to do with each other. Returning to my long-lost hometown, the air is filled with the familiar scent of grass and sunshine. My parents didn't ask too many questions about the details. They just silently accompanied me, healing my wounds with their silent actions. I spent some time adjusting my mindset, completely clearing the past. Then, I made an important decision to invest in my best friend Chloe's dance studio. Chloe's studio is just starting out in Los Angeles and needs financial support. Although I can't dance anymore, my love for dance has never faded. Participating in it in another way might allow me to find new value and direction. I invested most of my savings from these years, as well as some money Ethan transferred to me under the guise of compensation. Ironically, this money has now become my startup capital into Chloe's studio. Chloe was so excited on the phone that she was incoherent. Ava, you are simply my angel investor. I love you. We're sisters. No need for I love yous, I said with a smile. Work hard. I believe in you. Life seemed to be back on track, peaceful and fulfilling. Just then, an unexpected person appeared in my life. That afternoon, I was at a coffee shop near my home looking at studio materials when a tall and straight figure sat down across from me. Excuse me, are you Ava White? A deep, gentle voice sounded. I looked up and met a pair of familiar eyes. It was a handsome and gentle face, with a high-nosed bridge and a shallow smile on the corner of his lips. I was stunned for a moment, then recognized him. Liam Chen? He laughed, and there seemed to be starlight twinkling in his eyes. It's rare that you still remember me. Liam was my neighbor when I was a child, a few years older than me. We spent many carefree childhood days together. Later, his family moved away, and we lost contact. I didn't expect to meet him again here. How come you're here? I asked, somewhat surprised. I got a job transfer and just came back here, Liam explained. I saw your aunt and uncle a few days ago and found out you were back too. We talked about the funny things that happened when we were kids, and about our experiences over the years. Liam is now an architect, successful in his career, and speaks with gentle refinement. Chatting with him feels comfortable and relaxing. He seemed to have heard something about my recent situation, but he was very tactful and didn't pry into my private affairs too much. Only a hint of almost imperceptible heartache occasionally showing in his eyes. When he left, he asked for my contact information, saying we could keep in touch often in the future. Watching his departing figure, a subtle feeling arose in my heart. It wasn't long before our peaceful life was broken by an uninvited guest. That day, I had just come out of Chloe's studio, remote video conference, and was about to go to a nearby supermarket to buy something when Noah Miller suddenly stopped in front of me. He was still the same sloppy, annoying person, his eyes flitting up and down me in a frivolous manner, his tone full of malice. Yo, isn't this our noble ballet princess Ava? What, dumped by Ethan and slinking back to your hometown? I frowned and looked at him coldly. Noah Miller, I have nothing to say to you. Please get out of my way. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. He blocked my way, his smile even more irritating. Ethan has been losing sleep and forgetting meals for you recently. He's lost weight. I must say, you're really cruel. At least you were husband and wife. We were never married. I interrupted him, my voice icy. And he and I are no longer related. What happens to him is none of my business. TSK, TSK, TSK. You're still so stubborn, Noah sneered. If you hadn't clung to Ethan and used your life-saving grace to bind him, he would have been living happily ever after with Olivia long ago. Why are you acting so high and mighty now? His words, like venomous snakes, stung me again. I clenched my fists, my fingernails digging deep into my palms. Just as I was about to lose my temper, a figure stepped in front of me. He appeared without me noticing, his tall figure like a wall, shielding me behind him. He looked at Noah, his eyes cold, his tone brooking no argument. Sir, please show some respect in your words. Noah clearly didn't expect anyone to interfere and was stunned for a moment, then sneered, who are you? A hero saving the damsel? Liam ignored his provocation and just looked at him calmly. I'm Ava's friend. If you say another disrespectful word to her, I don't mind letting you know the consequences. His aura was strong, with a steady sense of oppression. Noah seemed a little wary, his eyes flickered, but he still said unwillingly, friend? I don't think it's that simple, right? Ava, you just left Ethan and already found a replacement? That was fast. Get out. I finally couldn't help but roar, pointing at his nose. Noah Miller, you disappear right now, otherwise, I'll call the police. Liam also stepped forward, staring at Noah with sharp eyes. Noah probably felt he wouldn't get anything good out of it, so he glared at me resentfully, glanced at Liam, and finally walked away muttering curses. Watching Noah's embarrassed figure leave, my tense nerves finally relaxed, and my body trembled slightly. Are you okay? Liam turned around, looking at me with concern. I shook my head and forced a smile. I'm fine, thank you. Liam, that kind of person isn't worth getting angry about. Liam's tone was very gentle. On the way back, the atmosphere was a bit silent. Liam suddenly said, Noah just said, Ethan I interrupted him. Liam, Ethan and I are over. I don't want to hear about his affairs anymore. Liam nodded and didn't ask any further, but Noah's appearance was like a stone thrown into a calm lake, stirring up the ripples in my heart that had not completely subsided. In the evening, I received a WhatsApp message from an unknown number. Ava, it's me, Ethan. I stared at the message, hesitated for a few seconds, and finally replied with a question mark. I know you don't want to see me, but I'm really worried about you. Mom misses you too. Mentioning Mrs. Collins softened my heart a little. I'll come see you in a few days, okay? And visit Mom while I'm at it. He followed up with another message. I sneered and typed a reply. No need to see me. If you want to visit your mother, that's your business. Besides, how are you and Olivia doing? Did you get back together? After the message was sent, the dialog box showed typing for a long time, but no new message was sent. His silence said it all. My anger was ignited again. Ethan Collins, cut the act. Don't bother me again. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. After sending this message, I immediately blocked the number. The world is finally quiet. Liam and I started communicating more and more. He respects my past and never actively mentions Ethan, but quietly stays by my side, sharing interesting things about his work and life. He remembers that I don't eat cilantro, remembers that I like a certain brand of coffee, and patiently listens to me when I'm troubled by studio matters, offering pertinent advice. This kind of long-lasting, subtle, and silent care has gradually warmed my frozen heart. That afternoon, I was checking the newly arrived ballet bars in Chloe's studio, located in a temporary space near my home, making it convenient for me to participate, when I lost my footing because the floor was a little slippery, and I fell backward. Just as I thought I was about to make intimate contact with the cold floor, a pair of strong arms caught me in time. Careful, he steadied me, his brow furrowed, his eyes full of concern. Did you fall? I shook my head, still in shock. And no, I'm okay, thank you. He crouched down and carefully examined my left leg. Are you really okay? Should we go to the hospital to get it checked out? My left leg was indeed a little uncomfortable because of an old injury. Seeing how worried he was, I felt a strange sensation in my heart. No need, it's just an old problem. I'll be fine after a rest. I tried to straighten up. Liam insisted on supporting me, led me to the rest area next to him to sit down, and poured me a glass of warm water. Your leg. He looked at my left leg, hesitant to speak. The sequelae of a car accident, I said calmly. He was silent for a moment, then said softly, I know. I know? How could he know? Seeming to see my confusion, Liam explained, when I was a kid, I often secretly watched you dance outside the practice room of the Children's Palace. You danced so beautifully, like a proud little swan. My heart stirred slightly. Later, I heard you had a car accident and couldn't dance anymore. I was very sad. His voice was very soft, with a hint of almost imperceptible regret. So, he had been silently paying attention to me all along. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure outside the window, standing in the corner downstairs, staring intently at the studio. How could he be here? Did he see Liam helping me just now? My heart sank suddenly, and a bad feeling surged into my mind. Sure enough, when Liam and I walked out of the studio, Ethan rushed over like an enraged lion and blocked our way. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair was disheveled, he had completely lost his former elite demeanor, and he stared at Liam fiercely, questioning in a hoarse voice, "Who are you? What is your relationship with Ava?" Liam shielded me behind him and calmly met Ethan's gaze. "I'm Ava's friend." "Friend?" Ethan sneered, his gaze turning to me, filled with pain and resentment. "Ava, tell me, who is he? Is it because of him that you want to break up with me? Did you find a new love so quickly?" His accusations shot at me like sharp arrows, absurd and ridiculous. Looking at his hysterical appearance, I only felt extremely unfamiliar and ironic. "Ethan Collins." I broke away from Liam's arm, stepped forward, met his crazed gaze, and said in a cold and clear voice, "My breakup with you has nothing to do with anyone. It's only because of you that I feel disgusted." "I disgust you?" Ethan seemed to have heard the biggest joke, and his emotions became even more agitated. "Ava, I know I was wrong. I regret it. I shouldn't have looked at those chat logs. I shouldn't have said those nonsense words to Noah. I admit I can't forget Olivia. But to you, what about me?" I interrupted him, my eyes as sharp as knives. "Are you being responsible for me, taking care of me, or showing your pity to me, this cripple?" Ethan's face turned pale instantly. He opened his mouth, as if trying to defend himself. "Ethan," I looked at him, enunciating each word, completely shattering his last bit of self-deception. "You have never loved me. You might have felt guilt, sympathy, or even self-indulgent satisfaction in playing the role of a deeply devoted savior towards me, but there was no love. You enjoy the posture of a savior, satisfying your lofty sense of morality. You thought marrying me was a gift to me, but you never truly respected or understood me. I'm telling you, Ethan Collins, I, Ava White, don't need your pity, and I certainly don't need your charity. Leaving you is the best decision I've ever made in my life. There's no possibility for us, ever. Just give up on that idea." My words were like cold knives, completely shattering all of Ethan's hopes and fantasies. He staggered back a step, his eyes empty, as if all his strength had been drained away in an instant. Liam stepped forward, stood in front of me, looked at Ethan, and said in a calm but warning tone, "Mr. Collins, please don't harass Ava again in the future." Ethan took one last, soul-lost look at me, his expression so complex that I couldn't decipher it. Then, he turned and left with faltering steps. Watching his lonely figure, I felt no joy, only a sense of weariness, as if the dust had settled. This entangled, ill-fated relationship that lasted for 5 years has finally come to an end. After that intense confrontation, Ethan indeed never appeared again. My life completely returned to peace. A few days later, I received one last text message from Ethan, using his old number. "Ava, I know I am not qualified to see you again, but I still want to say goodbye properly. If you are willing to see me, tomorrow at 3 p.m., at the corner cafe. If you don't come, I understand." I looked at the text message and was silent for a long time. Finally, I replied with one word, "Okay." Not for anything else, just to put a real end to this absurd past. We need a peaceful farewell, not for him, but for myself. The next day at 3 in the afternoon, I arrived at the street corner cafe on time. Ethan was already there, sitting by the window. I hadn't seen him for a few days, and he seemed to have lost a little weight again. The red blood vessels under his eyes were still obvious, but his expression was much calmer than the last time I saw him downstairs in the studio. He no longer had that hysterical madness. I walked over, sat down opposite him, and ordered a black coffee. "Thank you for agreeing to see me," he said first, his voice a little hoarse. "Speak. What do you want to say?" I stirred my coffee, not looking at him. He was silent for a while, as if organizing his words. "Ava, I know that no matter how many I'm sorry I say, it won't help. Those chat logs. It was my fault. I shouldn't have thought that way, let alone said it. You shouldn't have thought that way, not just said it that way. I raised my head and looked at him calmly. Ethan, the problem between us has never been those chat logs, but that you've been in the wrong position from the very beginning. He was slightly stunned. 5 years ago, you chose to take responsibility not because of love, but because of guilt, because you couldn't bear the moral pressure of owing someone who was injured for you. You put me in a position where I needed to be saved by you, to be given alms by you. You enjoyed this condescending pity, feeling that giving me material things and giving me the title of fiancé was the greatest gift to me. You never really squatted down to see what I needed, what I was thinking. You think I can't live without you, that my injured leg is my biggest weakness, and your bargaining chip to control me, so you feel at ease thinking about your ex-girlfriend, perfunctorily preparing for our wedding, and even discussing me so terribly with your friends behind my back. My tone was calm, as if stating a fact unrelated to myself, but every word clearly entered Ethan's ears. His face turned paler and paler, and his hand on the table trembled slightly. I was also wrong, I continued. My mistake was that I knew you didn't love me, but because I coveted your initial gentleness and responsibility, and because I was afraid of being hurt again, I chose to deceive myself. I didn't stop the loss in time, and I spent 5 years in this unhealthy symbiotic relationship. So, Ethan, we're even. You don't have to feel guilty anymore, and I won't resent you anymore. After today, let's pretend we never knew each other. I picked up my coffee cup and took a small sip. The bitter liquid slid down my throat, but it made my mind even clearer. Ethan didn't speak for a long time, just kept his head down, his shoulders slightly slumped. The soothing music in the cafe flowed, making the atmosphere even more silent. After a long time, he finally raised his head, his eyes red, his voice heavy with a nasal tone. Ava, you're right. It's me. I was too self-righteous. I was an asshole. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end it just turned into a heavy sigh. I wish you all the best in the future. You too. I stood up. Goodbye, Ethan. This time, it was a real goodbye. I didn't look back, walked straight out of the coffee shop, and left the past completely behind me. Life has turned a new page. Chloe's dance studio in Los Angeles is gradually taking off, although I can't be there in person. As an investor and half a planner, I communicate with her remotely every day, and I feel a sense of accomplishment watching the studio get on the right track step by step. In order to better participate in the operation of the studio, and also to completely get away from the past environment, I decided to move to Los Angeles. Although my parents were reluctant, they supported my decision. After settling down in Los Angeles, besides being busy with studio matters, I began to rethink my relationship with dance. One day, I went to the studio to help out and saw a little girl, about 10 years old, sitting alone in the corner, hugging her knees, watching the dancers in the studio with rapt attention. Her eyes were full of longing, but her right leg was in a cast, resting forlornly to the side. At that moment, I felt as if I was looking at myself from many years ago. I walked over and sat down beside her. Do you like to dance? I asked softly. The little girl was startled. Seeing my friendly smile, she nodded timidly. I like it, but my legs. I'm called Ava. I pointed to my left leg. I used to dance too, but then I injured my leg, just like you. The little girl opened her eyes wide in surprise. Really? Then what are you doing now? I can't do professional dancing anymore, but I found other things related to dancing. I smiled and asked, what happened to your leg? I broke it while playing soccer. The little girl lowered her head, her voice muffled. The doctor said that I might not be able to do strenuous exercise in the future. Don't be discouraged. I touched her head. Not being able to do strenuous exercise doesn't mean you can't dance at all. There are many kinds of dance that focus more on expression and feeling, and don't require as much of the legs. The little girl's eyes lit up. Really? Like what? For example, modern dance, or some adapted dances that focus more on upper body and core strength. I looked at her hopeful eyes and suddenly had an idea. What is your name? Maya. Maya, would you let me teach you to dance? Starting from the basics, we can find a way that suits you together. Maya/S eyes widened instantly, almost unable to believe her ears. You are willing to teach me? Of course. I nodded affirmatively. At that moment, watching the brilliant smile bloom on Maya's face, I felt that a long-sealed corner in my heart was also relit. Teaching Maya to dance became something that allowed me to rediscover passion and purpose. We started with the simplest body rhythms and music perception. Based on her physical condition, I designed some special training methods, focusing on her flexibility, expressiveness, and upper body strength. Maya is very talented and hardworking. She improves quickly, and smiles appear on her face more and more often. Watching her slowly stretch her body in the music and express herself in another way, I felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. This wasn't just teaching her to dance, it was more like conveying a kind of power, a power that even if the body is limited, the soul can still dance freely. Liam, after I moved to Los Angeles, also often had to travel here on business due to company projects. We actually had more opportunities to meet than before. He was as gentle and considerate as ever, but never crossed the line. He would accompany me to the studio to watch Maya train, take me to my favorite restaurant after a busy day, and quietly hand me a cup of hot tea when I was occasionally down because of my old injury. He never asked about my past with Ethan, and never rushed to express anything, but simply accompanied and supported me quietly in his own way. This just right sense of distance made me feel very comfortable and at ease. On the studio's first anniversary, we held a small showcase of our work. Maya, as a special student, performed a contemporary dance that I choreographed for her. Although her right leg couldn't exert full force, she captivated everyone present with her fluid upper body movements, rich emotions, and amazing expressiveness. After the performance, there was thunderous applause. Maya rushed into my arms excitedly, crying and laughing. Liam stood outside the crowd, smiling at us, the tenderness in his eyes almost overflowing. In the evening, Liam and I had dinner at an outdoor restaurant near the studio to celebrate the successful performance. "Ava, you look beautiful today," Liam said, his eyes focused on me. "Thank you," I replied with a slightly embarrassed smile. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, "Ava, there's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time. Actually, when we were kids, I did more than just secretly watch you dance." His voice was deep and earnest. "From the first time I saw you in the youth palace wearing a white dance dress, tiptoeing like a little fairy, I remembered you." I was stunned, not expecting him to bring this up. "Later, my family moved away, and I thought I would never see you again, but I never forgot you. Over the years, I would occasionally ask my parents about you, knowing that you had become an excellent ballet dancer, knowing that you were engaged." There was a hint of imperceptible disappointment in his tone. "Until I went home some time ago and heard that you were back, and single. Ava, I know it may be a bit abrupt to say this now, but I don't want to miss out again." He took a deep breath and looked at me intently. "I like you, Ava, since a long time ago. If you are willing, could you give me a chance?" The sudden confession caught me off guard, but more than that, a warm and complex emotion spread in my heart. I looked into Liam's sincere and expectant eyes, and I remembered his silent companionship and support over the past few months, and the gentle look in his eyes when he looked at me. I admit, I have feelings for him. Being with him is easy and comfortable, but I just came out of a failed relationship. I need time. I need to confirm my own heart. "Liam," I met his gaze and said seriously, "thank you for telling me this. I am very grateful for your company during this time, and I don't dislike you." Seeing the light in his eyes, I continued, "But I can't give you a definite answer right now. My last relationship made me realize that self-respect and self-love are more important than anything else. I need more time to confirm whether we are really suitable, and whether we can start a new relationship on the basis of equality and respect." Liam was not disappointed, but instead showed an understanding smile. "I understand, Ava, it's okay. I can wait, for as long as it takes." His understanding and respect made me even more convinced that he is a trustworthy person. We looked at each other and smiled, not saying anything more, but we understood each other's intentions. The road ahead is still very long, and I don't know where Liam and I will eventually end up, but I know that I am no longer the Ava who needs to depend on others and live on pity. I have my own career, new goals, and more importantly, I have found myself and learned to love myself. No matter what the future holds, I will hold my head high and continue to move forward with my love and pride. My new chapter in life has just begun. It was Liam. It was Liam. It was Ethan. My heart skipped a beat.